going to be working with the stay again with Castor, and we're just going to be working on building up duration, so the time that he stays standing still. So there he kind of walked off on his own. Like, he definitely needs to be working more on just staying mostly. So I just give him a few seconds. I'm like, that's not what I want, but now he's staying still. So I'll click him for that. I'm just gonna move him down here to the end of the round pen. So he's leading nicely. And then I'm gonna just use the mat to help him out here. Like, I've found he's finding the mat well too, so that's good. For him right now, like, he stays better without the mat, but I wanted to pair them together because he doesn't seem to quite understand that he's supposed to stand on the mat. So, but his cue for stay is just me touching him on the forehead and saying whoa. So I want whoa to mean stop and don't move. So I'm using it here, and then I'll use it under saddle, and I do use it like when I'm lunging or using the round pen like you've seen, and I want all 4 feet to stop right away and not move until I give him another cue. So I'm just building up the time. So like, I asked him to whoa, I walked all the way around him, I'll give him a treat. And so what's different between this video and what I'm doing now is I'm cueing him every time I walk away now. So right in this video, I'm saying whoa and then leaving. Like, now I've moved to saying whoa and touching him on the forehead before I leave every single time. So he has that cue. I think at this point, either I was just working on that voice cue or wasn't sure if I was going to use the hand cue yet, but I'm just kind of adding up the amount of steps that I take and the direction that I take them. And this again is a big chunk, so big lumps of behavior here, because I'm taking like 5-6 steps away from him. I'm clicking and then coming back. You might have to be more systematic about it with your horse, and you've seen in Castor's previous videos where I took 1 step and then I took 1 step behind him, I took 1 step to the side, 1 step in front, and then 2 steps and so on. But I did lump it into big chunks. So we did probably 1 step, and we didn't do like 1 step in the same location. I did 1 step to different locations. So your horse might need, I step 1 step to the side 3 or 4 times, and then 1 step kind of toward his girth 3 or 4 times and stuff like that. So if he paws on the mat here, I'm not too worried about that. But he's staying really, really well. Like, he's caught on to that super quick. I think this is the 3rd or 4th video of him doing the stay. This behavior he just really, really gets. And I'm just hoping that he'll kind of connect it to the mat a little bit. So I'm just walking all the way to the rail here. I don't really want him pawing at this, but I don't want to necessarily click and come back to him when he's pawing that, because I don't want him to continue doing it. So I'm just going to ignore it and reward him for staying. And then he doesn't need the mat. I just wanted him to kind of connect the 2 things, that he could stay there on the mat. But if he's pawing like that, I don't want him to become frustrated. So I'm probably taking too long before reinforcing. So I should probably cut back the amount of steps that I'm taking here before I click and feed. But it could just be him investigating it as well. So that's another possibility. But I just want to kind of keep an eye on that, because I don't want that pawing behavior to be in there. It's just going to give him a quick break and put some hay on the mat. So I don't want to work too much or like too long on something that's kind of stressful for him. I want to give him a little mental break. So I give him a little jackpot, let him hang out, kind of reset. And then you can always work on this some more, or you can work on something else. So I like to do these little resets for sure with a lot of my training. Especially something that they find kind of difficult or they struggle with. Like, if I find a place where they've made a little bit of an improvement, then I can just kind of give them a jackpot, let them reset, and then come back to it. So okay, I want to work on a little bit of stay without it. And you could tell there that I wasn't cueing him clearly. That's why I've added in that face touch right there very consistently, because that first time I walked away, I just had my hand up. Like, that's 2 different cues. So no wonder he was confused and wanted to follow me. So I need to be very consistent with giving him cues and then asking him to stay. And he's really gotten the verbal whoa cue down. So I'm pretty happy with how he caught on to that so quickly, even though it was a bit confusing, because watching it back, I'm like, yeah, I would have been confused. Like, no wonder he was confused. So I've asked him to stay here by saying my whoa cue, and then I've just built up to walking around him and then giving him a treat. And he's already used to me walking around him too, like with grooming and just working with other things, and like when I was first desensitizing him to me walking behind him, and now I'm just walking away, and then when I get close to the fence I'll click and come back. So he's doing quite well with that. I definitely need to work on the mat separately because he's not super solid with that work, but essentially this day is working really well. He just did struggle with finding the mat and staying on the mat, and like it wasn't super, I guess, as reinforcing as it should have been for him to stay on, so I didn't work on that separately. But he does have this whoa cue down pretty well, so I do like that because I'm getting pretty far away from him and he's not showing any signs of like pawing or anything, so I think that was definitely associated with the mat itself. And then I just need to be more consistent in cueing him, because I'm giving him the verbal cue here, but I need to add in that tactile cue, because that's what I'll be using on the ground anyways. It'll be more of the whoa cue for just under saddle work. So we do have some more things to work on here.